The African-American man, dressed in work attire, placed his order quietly, though his hands trembled. There was a palpable disquiet pervading this eatery. The strain among the personnel was evident even to patrons. The cashier behind the counter frequently darted nervous glances at her supervisor, while another employee moved with the weary gait of someone shouldering an excessive burden. Unbeknownst to anyone, this particular customer was the proprietor of everything they beheld. Terrell Washington had cultivated blue-collar bites from a solitary downtown establishment into Ohio's most cherished diner chain. Yet his success had not prepared him for the spectacle he was witnessing today. His gaze settled on the schedule book resting on the counter. That familiar blue cover now appeared to conceal secrets rather than offering solutions. As voices drifted from the kitchen, debating who deserved which shifts and who failed to embody the desired image, Terrell realized that his company's core values were being undermined directly under his observation. The conversation he was about to overhear would compel him to make the most arduous decision of his professional life and irrevocably alter numerous destinies. Terrell Washington never anticipated he would be handling complaint calls at 7 a.m. Yet the third irate customer of the morning found him clutching his coffee mug like a lifeline. "Sir, I comprehend your vexation," he stated into his phone, watching downtown Cleveland awaken through his office windows. "We will absolutely investigate the service issues at our Riverside location." The call concluded, but his assistant's voice immediately crackled through the intercom. "Mr. Washington, line 2. Another grievance regarding the downtown store." Terrell settled back into his leather chair, enveloped by the 15 years of blue-collar bites memorabilia that chronicled his company's journey. Awards for exceptional workplace culture. Framed accolades lauding their familial atmosphere. And occupying the place of honor above his desk, the faded photograph that initiated it all. Him at age 19, standing alongside Albert Old Blue Williams in the original kitchen. Old Blue had been more than a mentor. He had been the paternal figure Terrell never had. When the seasoned cook took a chance on a young man from the projects, imparting everything from proper seasoning techniques to sound business principles, he had sown seeds that blossomed into 12 flourishing establishments. "Take care of your people, son," Old Blue used to advise, adjusting his distinctive blue apron. "They'll take care of your business. But the moment you lose sight of your origins, that's when you begin to forfeit what truly matters." The phone vibrated again. Victoria Miller, manager of the downtown location. "Terrell, hi. I received your message about the complaints." Her voice carried that forced cheerfulness that always unsettled him. "Honestly, I believe it's merely the usual adjustment period. You know how customers can be." "Victoria, this is the 5th call this week. Slow service, unfriendly staff, incorrect orders. What is transpiring down there?" "Well," Victoria's pause extended too long. "We've encountered some staffing challenges. Nothing significant. Diana has been struggling to keep pace lately, but I am handling it." Diana Williams. The name triggered a memory. Hadn't Old Blue mentioned a daughter named Diana? But that was years ago, prior to his mentor's passing. "What kind of struggles?" Terrell pressed. "Just motivation issues. Some individuals are not suited for the tempo we require, but Ashley has been phenomenal. Truly stepped up as team leader. She possesses that professional image our customers anticipate." Something about Victoria's tone felt amiss. In 15 years of business, Terrell had learned to trust his instincts about people, and at this moment, those instincts were screaming. "Send me last month's schedules and performance reviews," he instructed. "I desire to view the complete picture." Of course. Though frankly, the numbers do not convey the entire narrative. Managing diverse personality types necessitates nuance, you understand. After hanging up, Terrell opened his laptop and delved into the downtown location's financial data. Revenue was down 18% over 3 months. Customer satisfaction scores had plummeted. But most disconcerting were the subtle patterns within the data. Certain employees were consistently scheduled for fewer hours, while others received prime shifts despite having less seniority. His phone illuminated with a text from an unfamiliar number. If you genuinely care about your employees, as your commercials proclaim, you should observe what is occurring at your downtown store. A concerned customer. Terrell gazed at the message, then at Old Blue's photograph. His mentor's weathered hands rested on a young Terrell's shoulders in the picture, both of them beaming after their first successful lunch rush. Old Blue always said, "Son, when your people hurt, your business bleeds," Terrell murmured to the empty office. The morning sun cast long shadows across his awards wall, but somehow the achievements felt hollow now. He had built blue-collar bites on the foundation Old Blue had laid. Treat everyone with respect. Create opportunities for those who needed them most. Never let success make you forget your origins. But what if he had become so preoccupied with expansion that he had overlooked what was transpiring within his own restaurants? Terrell walked to the window, observing early commuters hurrying past the original Blue Collar Bites location across the street. Inside that small dining room, Old Blue had taught him that true leadership was not about possessing the title. It was about possessing the courage to do what is right when no one is watching. The question was, what would he uncover when he began to watch? The lunch rush at Blue Collar Bites downtown should have been a meticulously choreographed performance. Instead, it was pandemonium masquerading as efficiency. Diana Williams glided between tables with the refined grace of someone who had dedicated years to mastering her craft. But today, she was covering sections intended for 3 individuals. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she balanced 4 plates on one arm while simultaneously reaching for drink refills with the other. Meanwhile, Ashley Taylor leaned against the register, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the counter as she conversed with a regular customer. Her section, comprising the easiest tables near the window, remained half empty by design. "Diana!" Victoria Miller's voice cut through the dining room chatter. "Table 12 is still awaiting their coffee refill, and I need you to cover the back section too. Ashley has a family matter to attend to." Diana glanced at Ashley, who offered an apologetic shrug while checking her phone. "Sorry, babysitter emergency," Ashley explained, though her Instagram story from an hour earlier depicted her getting a manicure. The elderly man at table 12 weakly waved for attention, his coffee cup empty, his lunch growing cold. Diana hurried over, coffee pot in hand. "I am so sorry for the wait, Mr. Peterson. How was your sandwich?" "Oh, honey, do not apologize. I can see you are doing the work of 3 people. The old man's kind eyes crinkled with concern. "Are you all right? You appear exhausted." Diana forced a smile. "Just busy. Can I get you anything else?" As she refilled his cup, Mr. Peterson lowered his voice. "That manager of yours keeps assigning you all the work while that blonde girl stands around. It does not seem right." "It is fine," Diana whispered, but her hands trembled slightly as she poured. "Really?" Back at the register, Victoria reviewed the day's assignments with Ashley. "You will take the morning shift tomorrow. Easier pace, better tip potential. Diana can handle the dinner rush." "Perfect," Ashley responded, examining her fresh nail art. "Honestly, some people are simply not management material, you know. It is about possessing the right presence." Victoria nodded approvingly. "Precisely. Our customers expect a certain image, professional, polished. Not everyone conforms to that standard." In the kitchen, Miguel Rodriguez, the veteran line cook, observed through the service window as Diana hurried between tables. He had worked at Blue Collar Bites for 8 years, long enough to recall when Old Blue himself would roll up his sleeves during busy shifts. "This ain't right," he muttered to the prep cook. Old Blue would be turning in his grave seeing how they treat that girl. Diana caught his eye and managed a grateful smile. Miguel always prioritized getting her orders out first, the sole small kindness in her increasingly arduous workdays. The afternoon brought more subtle cruelties. When the district manager called for a status report, Victoria ensured she took the call within Diana's earshot. "Oh yes, Ashley has been outstanding. Truly embodies our brand values. Diana, well, she tries hard, but there are some cultural fit issues. Not everyone adapts to our standards. Diana's shoulders slumped as she cleared table after table. Her blue apron, the same style Old Blue had worn with such pride, now feeling like a uniform of shame. The final indignity occurred during tip calculations. Ashley, who had worked 3 hours to Diana's 8, somehow ended up with equal shares from the pooled tips. Team effort, Victoria explained when Diana quietly questioned the split. Besides, customer service is not solely about hours worked. It is about quality interactions. Diana bit back her response, thinking of her infant daughter at home and the rent due next week. She needed this job, regardless of how unfair it became. As the shift concluded, she lingered to finish cleaning Ashley's abandoned section. Her soft humming of an old spiritual, one of Old Blue's favorites, was the only sound echoing through the empty dining room. Outside, unnoticed by anyone within, a figure in work clothes had been observing through the window for the past hour. Terrell Washington had witnessed enough to confirm his worst fears, but not nearly enough to comprehend the full extent of what was happening to his company's soul. The schedule book on Victoria's desk caught the afternoon light, its blue cover concealing the systematic discrimination within its pages. Tomorrow's assignments were already penned in Victoria's neat handwriting. Another day of the same calculated unfairness that was slowly eroding everything Old Blue had created. Terrell remained in his car outside the downtown Blue Collar Bites, the engine off, observing the evening cleaning operation through the windows. The message from the concerned patron resonated in his thoughts. If you truly care about your employees like your advertisements claim. His reflection in the rearview mirror showed a man grappling with uncomfortable realities. The expensive attire, the corporate sophistication. When had he become so detached from the actual running of his eateries? Another complaint call had arrived during his journey there. Your associate Diana was exceptional, but that manager was impolite when I inquired about the wait times. And why was one server managing the entire establishment while another merely stood by? Terrell retrieved his phone and scrolled through the employment records Victoria had finally sent. Diana Williams, employed 3 years prior. Outstanding customer feedback, flawless attendance. Yet, her working hours had been consistently reduced over the past 6 months. Meanwhile, Ashley Taylor, hired only 8 months ago, had been assigned preferred shifts and recently received commendation for embodying company values. Diana Williams. That name continued to stir something in his memory. His phone vibrated with another text from the unknown number. That young black woman working today deserves better. Old Blue wouldn't recognize what his place has become. Old Blue. The sender of the message knew about Old Blue. Terrell's grip on the steering wheel tightened. In his downtown office, surrounded by performance metrics and expansion blueprints, it was simple to believe his own marketing, portraying Blue Collar Bites as a family enterprise with heart. But what if he had been managing spreadsheets while his managers undermined the principles that built this business? Time to see what's truly happening in my house, he declared to his reflection. The decision solidified like ice water in his veins. Tomorrow, he would not be CEO Terrell Washington making scheduled pre-announced visits with prepared talking points. He would be just another customer, unseen and observant. Back home, Terrell searched through his wardrobe until he located them. The old work clothes from his days learning under Old Blue. The faded denim trousers, the worn flannel shirt, the steel-toed boots that had carried him through countless kitchen shifts. The attire of who he once was before success and responsibility created a divide between him and his employees' daily reality. In his bedroom mirror, the transformation was striking. The polished executive was gone. The man staring back resembled someone who worked with his hands, someone who understood what it meant to depend on every paycheck. From his dresser drawer, he retrieved Old Blue's original apron, the one his mentor had given him on his last day. "Keep this," Old Blue had wheezed from his hospital bed. "Reminds you that serving people good food with respect isn't just a job. It's a calling." Terrell folded the apron carefully and placed it in his truck's glove compartment. He wouldn't wear it tomorrow. That would be too conspicuous. But having it nearby felt like carrying Old Blue's wisdom with him. "Old Blue, if you're watching, help me do right by your people," he whispered. His phone displayed 11:30 p.m. In 9 hours, he would walk into his own restaurant as a stranger and discover whether the company he had built was still worthy of the man who had taught him everything. The downtown location's schedule indicated Diana working the breakfast shift starting at 7 a.m. Victoria would not arrive until 9, creating a 2-hour window where the true dynamics might reveal themselves without management oversight. Terrell set his alarm for 6 a.m. and attempted to sleep, but Old Blue's voice continued to echo in his mind. "Son, when your people hurt, your business bleeds. But the moment you forget where you came from, that's the moment you start losing what matters." Tomorrow he would remember where he came from. And if what he suspected was accurate, some individuals would learn precisely what transpired when Blue Collar Bites neglected its foundational principles. Terrell parked 3 blocks from the downtown Blue Collar Bites, his heart pounding as if he were about to rob the place instead of observe it. The work clothes felt unfamiliar after years of tailored suits, but they also felt like a return home. The morning rush was just commencing when he pushed through the glass doors. The familiar chime sounded the same, yet the atmosphere felt amiss, tense, where it should have been welcoming. Diana Williams stood behind the counter, her blue apron crisp despite the early hour. Up close, she appeared even younger than her 22 years, but her movements demonstrated the efficiency of someone who had mastered her craft under pressure. "Good morning," she greeted with genuine warmth. "What can I get started for you?" Terrell ordered a straightforward breakfast sandwich and coffee, scrutinizing her face. Something about her eyes, the contour of her smile, stirred his memory. But it was her hands that stopped him cold. The same meticulous, precise movements he recalled from observing someone else work years ago. "Coming right up. You can have a seat anywhere. I'll bring it over." As Diana turned to relay his order to the kitchen, Terrell noticed a small framed photograph tucked behind the register. It depicted a much younger Diana with an older black man wearing a Blue Collar Bites apron. Old Blue's apron. The man's weathered hands rested on her shoulders with unmistakable paternal pride. The realization struck him like a physical blow. Diana Williams, Old Blue's daughter. Albert Williams had spoken about his daughter incessantly. How intelligent she was, how diligently she worked, how proud he was when she gained college admission. "My Diana's going to make something of herself," he had always said. Got her mama's brains and her daddy's work ethic. Terrell selected a corner table from which he could observe everything. Within minutes, the breakfast rush exposed the systematic injustice Victoria had orchestrated. Ashley Taylor arrived 20 minutes late, offering no apology as she clocked in. "Traffic," she stated with a shrug, immediately checking her phone. Diana had already served 8 customers single-handedly. "Ashley, you can take the counter," Diana said. "I'll handle the floor." But Ashley positioned herself at the register where tips were most lucrative, leaving Diana to serve tables, bus dishes, and manage takeout orders simultaneously. A young mother with 2 toddlers struggled at table 6, one child crying while she attempted to eat. Diana appeared with crayons and a coloring sheet, gently diffusing the situation. "My little one's about the same age," she told the grateful mother. "Some days are harder than others." Meanwhile, Ashley rolled her eyes at an elderly customer who inquired about the daily specials twice, sighing audibly when he requested his coffee be reheated. Miguel Rodriguez emerged from the kitchen, his face grim as he watched Diana hurry between tables. "This is wrong," he murmured quietly to another customer who had commented on the service disparity. "That girl does the work of 3 people while Princess over there counts her tips." At 8:30, Victoria Miller swept in as if she owned the world. Her impeccably styled hair and designer clothes stood out sharply against the blue-collar atmosphere Old Blue had fostered. "Morning, ladies. Diana, I need you to switch to the back section. Ashley will handle the front where the important business customers sit." The important business customers were mostly white professionals grabbing a quick breakfast before work. Diana's section received the families, elderly regulars, and blue-collar workers. people who tipped modestly but appreciated genuine service. Terrell watched Victoria's eyes sweep the dining room, categorizing customers with calculating precision. When her gaze lingered on him, he sensed her mental categorization. Working-class black man, probably limited spending power, not worth special attention. "Diana!" Victoria's voice carried across the room. "Table 12 needs their order taken. And can you bus Section 3? Ashley's handling the morning reports." Diana nodded without complaint, though Terrell could discern exhaustion creeping into her movements. She had been working non-stop for 90 minutes while Ashley had spent 15 minutes organizing pastries and 20 minutes on her phone. The breaking point arrived when a customer complained about slow service. Victoria immediately appeared at their table with Ashley in tow. "I'm so sorry for the delay," Victoria said smoothly. "Ashley here will take care of everything. She's our senior server." Senior server? Ashley had been there 8 months to Diana's 3 years. As Ashley took over the table with exaggerated attentiveness, Victoria pulled Diana aside. "We need to discuss your efficiency issues. Some customers are commenting on wait times." Diana's shoulders tensed. "I'm covering both sections while Ashley is managing customer relations and administrative duties." Victoria cut her off. "Not everyone is suited for multitasking at this level." Terrell's hands clenched around his coffee cup. Old Blue had taught him to look beyond superficial judgments, to value character over appearance. Victoria was doing precisely the opposite. The morning's cruelest moment came during the tip count. Despite Diana serving twice as many customers, Victoria divided the pooled tips evenly. "Team effort," she explained when Diana's face showed confusion. "Everyone contributes differently." Diana opened her mouth to object, then closed it. Terrell could see her calculating. Rent due, daughter in daycare, no other immediate job prospects. She swallowed the injustice because she had no alternative. As the morning rush subsided, Terrell moved closer to the counter, feigning to read a newspaper while actually observing the dynamic between Victoria and Ashley. "Honestly," Ashley said, just loud enough to be overheard, "some people just don't have the professional presence for customer-facing roles. It's not their fault. It's just how they were raised." Victoria nodded approvingly. "Image is paramount in this industry. Customers are extraordinarily observant. Your manner of speaking, your presentation, whether you meet their expectations. Their utterances were steeped in veiled meanings. Yet the message was unmistakably clear. Diana was being systematically marginalized due to her youth, her race, and her failure to conform to their narrow definition of professionalism." Terrell recalled Old Blue instilling in him the very aptitudes Diana exhibited. A genuine concern for patrons, efficient service delivery, and pride in honest labor. His mentor had encountered the same biases his offspring now endured, but he had forged something superior, something Victoria was dismantling one shift at a time. The ultimate provocation occurred when Terrell overheard Victoria on the phone with corporate. "Yes, I believe it's time to contemplate restructuring staff positions. Some employees perform more effectively in back-of-house roles. Less customer interaction, more aligned with their skill sets." Diana was wiping tables nearby, her expression carefully neutral. But Terrell noted her hands trembling faintly. She comprehended precisely Victoria's implication. As noon approached and his meal seemed to stretch interminably, Terrell prepared to depart. He had observed sufficient evidence to validate his gravest concerns and far more than he had anticipated. At the register, Diana extended his change with a weary smile. "Thank you for your patience today. I trust everything was satisfactory." Her professional demeanor amidst systematic mistreatment was both inspiring and distressing. She was Old Blue's progeny in every significant respect, treating every customer with dignity, even when she received none in return. "Everything was perfect," Terrell stated softly. "Your father would be proud." Diana's eyes widened in bewilderment, but before she could respond, Terrell was gone. Outside, he sat in his truck with trembling hands. Old Blue's apron weighty in his lap. The injustice was graver than he had envisioned, and its target was the daughter of the man who had provided him with everything. Tomorrow, circumstances would change. But first, he required substantiation that would withstand corporate scrutiny and legal challenge. The schedule book Victoria so meticulously safeguarded would unveil the true narrative if he could obtain it. That evening, Terrell remained in his downtown office until the building was deserted. Then he made his move. As CEO, he possessed master keys to every blue-collar Bites establishment, a prerogative he had never utilized for surveillance until now. The restaurant lay tranquil beneath the streetlights, chairs inverted on tables. The day's pandemonium had subsided into an artificial serenity. Terrell's footsteps echoed as he advanced towards Victoria's office, a confined space behind the kitchen that Old Blue had employed for inventory and employee breaks. Victoria's desk was militantly precise, every item in its designated position. But there, centrally located, like an artifact from a throne room, rested the blue schedule book that had captured his attention during his covert visit. Terrell's hands quivered as he opened it. What he discovered was worse than discrimination. It was a documented scheme of calculated cruelty. The pages revealed 3 months of deliberate manipulation. Diana's hours had been systematically reduced from 32 per week to 18, while Ashley's had escalated from 15 to 28. The pattern was surgically precise, never quite enough to trigger unemployment benefits, but devastating to someone supporting a child. However, the schedule assignments narrated an even more reprehensible tale. Diana consistently worked the most arduous shifts. Early mornings when setup was most intensive, late evenings during cleanup, double shifts when others called in sick. Ashley received prime lunch hours and weekends when tips were highest and work was lightest. Terrell photographed each page with his phone, constructing an irrefutable case. The evidence extended beyond mere numbers. Victoria had penned marginal notes that exposed her mentality. Beside Diana's name, customer complaints about attitude needs attitude adjustment. But Terrell had personally observed Diana's interactions. Nothing but professionalism and warmth. Beside Ashley's name, excellent customer relations. Promote to team leader role. The promotion note was dated just 2 weeks prior. Ashley, with 8 months of experience, was now officially senior to Diana's 3 years of dedicated service. In the bottom desk drawer, Terrell located Victoria's correspondence file. His anger solidified into cold fury as he perused her emails to district management. Staff development concerns. I believe we need to consider whether certain employees align with our brand image. Diana Williams, while technically competent, may be better suited for back-of-house positions where customer interaction is limited. Her communication style and presentation don't match our target demographic expectations. The corporate responses were equally incriminating. Understood. Document any performance issues carefully. We need to protect the company while managing transition sensitively. Terrell photographed everything. His phone's camera flash illuminating the systematic destruction of Old Blue's legacy. But the most alarming discovery was in a folder marked Personnel Reviews. Diana's file contained stellar customer feedback forms, dozens of them. Diana was amazing. She made my day better. This young lady deserves a raise. But appended to each positive review was Victoria's rebuttal note. Customer may not understand professional service standards or feedback doesn't reflect complete service interaction. Meanwhile, Ashley's file contained meticulously curated reviews and staged photos of her interacting with well-dressed customers, constructing a narrative of superior performance that the schedule book proved was fabricated. The smoking gun came in a printed email exchange between Victoria and Ashley, apparently forgotten in the personnel folder. The timestamp indicated it was sent during Terrell's undercover visit. Ashley, the boss's daughter act is getting old. Diana thinks she's special because her dad worked here. Victoria, don't worry. Old-timers retire and standards change. This is a business, not a charity. We hire for results, not sentimental reasons. Ashley, when are you going to do something about the situation? It's affecting team morale. Victoria, soon. I'm documenting everything carefully. HR needs a bulletproof case for transitions. Terrell's vision blurred with rage. They weren't merely discriminating against Diana. They were planning to terminate her employment. Old Blue's daughter being forced out of the business her father had helped establish by individuals who perceived her heritage as a liability instead of an honor. The ultimate piece of evidence lay in Victoria's bottom drawer, a draft termination letter scheduled for the following week. Due to ongoing performance concerns and customer service issues, we will be transitioning Diana Williams to part-time status effective immediately with full termination pending improved metrics over a 30-day probationary period. It was a corporate hit job disguised in human resources terminology. The 30-day probationary period was impossible to survive with reduced hours and the worst shifts designed to justify the predetermined outcome. Terrell photographed everything, then settled back in Victoria's chair, surrounded by the proof of systematic betrayal. The schedule book, the emails, the fabricated performance reviews, the planned termination. It depicted a scenario of deliberate cruelty cloaked in corporate procedure. His phone vibrated with a text message from the same unbeknownst number that had initiated this investigation. Old Blue's grandchild starts daycare next month. Diana's been saving for weeks, but they keep cutting her hours. Thought you should know. Old Blue's grandchild. Terrell closed his eyes, recalling his mentor's aspirations for his family's prospects. Diana wasn't simply contending for her employment. She was contending for her daughter's opportunities, similar to how Old Blue had contended for his. Tomorrow morning, Victoria Miller would discover the consequences of attempting to dismantle Albert Old Blue Williams' legacy. And Diana Williams would ascertain that her father's influence extended further than she had ever envisioned. Terrell arrived at the downtown blue-collar bites before dawn, the weight of evidence heavy on his phone and heavier on his conscience. He had spent the sleepless nights strategizing this confrontation, cognizant that his handling of the next hour would define both his company's future and Diana's destiny. The morning shift was already in full swing when he pushed through the doors, no longer covert, yet not fully revealed. Diana looked up from behind the counter, recognition flickering in her eyes. "Good morning, sir. Back for another breakfast?" Before he could reply, Victoria's voice pierced across the dining room like a blade. "Diana, I need you in the office, now." Terrell's blood turned to ice, the termination letter. Victoria was proceeding with her agenda. "Actually," he interjected, his voice loud enough to carry across the restaurant, "I think we should all have this conversation together." Victoria turned, her practiced smile faltering when she observed Terrell's expression. Something in his demeanor, the authority beneath the work clothes, the controlled anger in his posture, caused her to step backward. "I'm sorry, have we met?" Victoria's voice conveyed forced politeness, but her eyes were calculating. Ashley emerged from the kitchen, drawn by the tension. Miguel followed, wiping his hands on his apron, sensing something momentous about to unfold. Diana stood motionless between the counter and the office door, caught in a moment that felt too grand for comprehension. Terrell reached into his jacket and retrieved his phone, opening it to the photographed schedule book. "We need to talk about this." Victoria's face drained of color as she recognized her own handwriting on the screen. "I'm Terrell Washington," he stated quietly. "I own this place." The words impacted the room like a physical force. Ashley gasped audibly. Victoria's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Miguel offered a slow smile of recognition and vindication, but Diana's response was paramount. Her eyes widened, then filled with sudden comprehension. You knew my father." "Old Blue was like a father to me," Terrell stated, his voice thick with emotion. "He talked about you daily, how proud he was, how much he cherished you." He then fully turned to Victoria. "And you've been sabotaging his daughter's career because she doesn't fit your preconceived notion of what a blue-collar Bites employee should embody." Victoria swiftly regained her composure. "Mr. Washington, I can clarify. There have been performance concerns." "Performance concerns?" Terrell's voice escalated. You mean like the dozens of customer commendations in her file that you disregarded? Like working triple shifts while Ashley idles? Like systematically reducing her hours with what appears to be mathematical precision? He scrolled through his phone, reading aloud. Quote, Diana thinks she's exceptional because her dad worked here. That's your employee Ashley commenting on the daughter of the man who helped establish this company. Ashley's face blanched. That was taken out of context. What context renders that acceptable? Terrell's question hung in the air like a pall. Diana finally found her voice. You were going to terminate me. It wasn't a query. Victoria's silence served as confirmation. Next week, Terrell affirmed, displaying the termination letter on his phone. A 30-day probationary period designed for failure. Very neat, very clean, very corporate. The morning customers had ceased eating, sensing the unfolding drama. But Terrell was beyond concern for public scenes. Some injustices necessitated witnesses. Diana, he began, turning to Old Blue's daughter, your father saved my life. He discovered me angry and aimless. And he taught me that serving people quality food with respect wasn't merely a job. It was a vocation. He spoke of her constantly, her intellect, her diligence, how she was destined for greatness. Tears now streamed down Diana's face. He spoke of you, too, the young man he was mentoring. He was so proud when you launched your own business. And you've been here 3 years, upholding his legacy, while these two conspired to expel you. Terrell's voice hardened to steel as he confronted Victoria again. You're finished. Pack your belongings. You can't just... Victoria began. I can, and I am. Ashley, you have a choice. You can learn what this company genuinely represents, or you can follow Victoria out the door. Ashley looked between Terrell and the exit, her meticulously constructed world crumbling. I want to learn, please. Terrell observed her for an extended moment. We'll see. The dining room had fallen completely silent, save for the gentle sizzle from Miguel's grill. Even the morning rush appeared suspended, awaiting resolution. Diana stepped forward, wiping her eyes. Mr. Washington. Terrell, I don't know what to express. You don't need to say anything. Your work speaks for itself. Your character speaks for itself. Your father's influence resonates through everything you accomplish here. He paused, then smiled with genuine warmth. But I do have a proposition for you. Anything. How would you feel about becoming the new manager of this location? The question struck Diana like lightning. Her hand flew to her mouth, eyes wide with shock, hope, and disbelief all at once. Miguel whooped from the kitchen. About damn time. Victoria, still in stunned silence, finally spoke. This is discrimination. You can't dismiss me for systematically targeting an employee based on race, for planning termination based on image rather than performance, for transforming my father figure's workplace into everything he championed against. Terrell's smile was cold as winter. Try me. Victoria summoned what dignity she could and proceeded to the office to gather her possessions. Ashley stood awkwardly, clearly uncertain whether to follow or remain. Diana surveyed the dining room, at the customers now openly smiling and applauding, at Miguel beaming from the kitchen window, at the blue schedule book that had documented her persecution and would now record her promotion. Yes, she whispered, then with more conviction, yes, I'll be your manager. Old Blue's legacy was secure, and justice, though delayed, had finally prevailed. Within an hour of Victoria's departure, Terrell had transformed the back office into a command center for systematic change. Diana sat across from him, still absorbing her promotion, while Miguel and Ashley waited nearby, one beaming with vindication, the other pale with uncertainty. First things first, Terrell announced, opening his laptop. We're going to rebuild this place the right way, Old Blue's way. He pulled up the corporate personnel system and began typing. Diana Williams promoted to general manager effective immediately. Starting salary. He paused, considering. 65,000 plus performance bonuses tied to customer satisfaction and team development. Diana's eyes widened. That's almost double what I was earning. It's what the position pays, what you should have been earning based on your performance. Terrell turned the screen toward her. But more important than the money are the principles we're implementing. He opened a new document and began outlining the new operational framework. Rule 1. Scheduling will be based on seniority, availability, and performance in that order. No favoritism, no image considerations, no coded language. Diana nodded, already understanding. What about Ashley? Ashley stepped forward nervously. I want to make this right. I know I erred. Terrell studied her carefully. Ashley, you have two choices. You can embrace what this company truly stands for, treating everyone with dignity and respect, or you can find another employment opportunity. But if you stay, you start over. Same pay grade as any new employee, earning advancement through merit, not politics. I'll stay, Ashley said quickly. I want to learn from Diana. The reversal was complete. The previously favored employee now reporting to the woman she'd helped marginalize. But Terrell sensed genuine remorse in Ashley's voice, perhaps the first authentic thing he'd heard from her. Miguel? Terrell called to the kitchen. Get out here. You're part of this too. The veteran cook emerged, still smiling. Never thought I'd see the day. You've been here 8 years watching this unfold. That stops now. I'm promoting you to kitchen manager with authority over all back-of-house operations, and I want you to help Diana rebuild the culture here. Miguel's weathered face lit up. Old Blue would be dancing. Terrell pulled out the original Blue schedule book, the one Victoria had used as a weapon of discrimination. Diana, this is yours now, but we're changing what it represents. He opened to a fresh page and began writing new scheduling principles. Equal distribution of prime shifts, fair rotation of difficult assignments. No employee works more than 2 consecutive difficult shifts without a recovery day. Diana leaned forward, studying the framework. What about performance management? Based on customer feedback, peer reviews, and objective metrics, not subjective image assessments. Terrell's voice hardened, remembering Victoria's coded language. We measure character, not appearance. Over the next 2 hours, they rebuilt the restaurant's operational structure from the ground up. New break policies ensuring equal rest time, revised tip sharing that reflected actual work contribution, training programs for all staff on unconscious bias and inclusive service. But the most important change, Terrell said, standing up, is cultural. He walked to the dining room wall where Old Blue's photograph hung, the same one Diana kept behind the register. Your father believed that serving people good food with respect wasn't just a job. It was a calling. We're returning to that. Diana touched the frame gently. He used to say that every customer deserved to feel welcome regardless of what they looked like or how much money they had. Exactly. And every employee deserves to be judged by their character and contribution, not their background or appearance. Terrell turned to address all 3 employees. That's not just policy now. It's our mission. The lunch rush began filtering in, and Terrell watched Diana step into her new role. The transformation was immediate. She moved with new confidence, making decisions with natural authority, treating Ashley with professional courtesy despite their history. Ashley, Diana said, you take section 1. I'll handle 2 and 3 until we get additional staff trained. No punishment, no petty revenge, just fair distribution of responsibilities. Ashley nodded gratefully. Diana, I'm sorry. Truly sorry I didn't comprehend. We start fresh, Diana said simply. But we do this right. As the day progressed, Terrell implemented broader changes. He contacted corporate HR to report Victoria's discriminatory practices and ensure they couldn't happen elsewhere in the chain. He scheduled bias training for all managers company-wide. He established anonymous feedback channels for employees to report unfair treatment. But the most meaningful change was personal. During the afternoon lull, Terrell pulled out Old Blue's original apron from his truck. "This was your father's," he told Diana. "He gave it to me when I started my first restaurant. Said it would remind me to stay humble, but I think he'd want you to have it now." Diana held the apron with reverence, running her fingers over the faded Blue Collar Bites logo. He wore this every day for 20 years, and now his daughter will carry on what he built. That evening, as the restaurant prepared to close, Diana stood in the same spot where Victoria had tormented her that morning. But everything had changed. The schedule book now showed fair assignments. The staff worked as a cohesive team rather than competing factions. The ambiance resonated with the distinction and deference Old Blue had always pictured. Miguel emerged from the kitchen, removing his apron. "Diana, I must say, your father would be immeasurably proud seeing you at the helm." Ashley, completing her closing tasks without complaint, quietly appended, "I'm going to perform better. I guarantee it." Diana nodded to both of them, then turned to Terrell. "How do I adequately thank you for this?" "By upholding what your father established. By treating individuals as you wish to be treated. By remembering that triumph entails elevating others, not suppressing them." As Terrell prepared to depart, he cast one final gaze around the dining room. The identical tables and chairs, the same kitchen, the same blue aprons. Yet the essence of the establishment had been revitalized. Old Blue's heritage was secure in his daughter's capable hands, and Blue Collar Bites had recalled its true meaning: to serve people with honor and consideration. 3 weeks later, the downtown Blue Collar Bites buzzed with a dynamism that had been absent for months. Terrell arrived for his customary inspection to discover the morning rush flowing like a meticulously orchestrated symphony. Each team member fulfilling their role with renewed determination. Diana navigated the dining room with quiet assurance. The blue schedule book, tucked beneath her arm, was no longer an instrument of prejudice, but a mechanism of impartiality. Her leadership approach was precisely what Terrell had envisioned. Firm, yet empathetic, efficient, yet personal. "Good morning, Mrs. Patterson." Diana greeted the elderly woman at table 4. "The usual today?" "Oh, honey, yes, please. And I must tell you, this place feels like home once more. Whatever modifications you've implemented, they are effective." Diana beamed. "Thank you, that means everything." Ashley appeared with Mrs. Patterson's coffee, her demeanor completely transformed from the self-important employee of a month prior. "I recalled you prefer extra cream," she stated warmly, placing down the cup. This exchange would have been inconceivable under Victoria's administration. Ashley attending to an elderly customer with genuine attentiveness, Diana overseeing with encouragement rather than suspicion. In the kitchen, Miguel had embraced his function as kitchen manager with zeal. He had reorganized the preparation schedule to enhance efficiency while instructing newer cooks in the standards Old Blue had established decades ago. "Remember," he conveyed to 17-year-old Marcus, a recent recruit, "we don't merely prepare food here. We enhance someone's day. Every dish that departs represents who we are." Marcus nodded earnestly, then grinned. As Diana always says, serve with conviction, serve with devotion. That had become Diana's unofficial maxim, inscribed on a whiteboard in the break room alongside the week's equitable schedule. No more preferred assignments, no more systemic exclusions, just honest work distributed fairly. Terrell observed from his corner table as Diana addressed a customer complaint with poise. A businessman was upset about his wait time, speaking louder than necessary. "Sir, I completely comprehend your frustration," Diana articulated calmly. "Allow me to personally ensure your order is prioritized, and breakfast is on us today." The man's agitation subsided under her professional management. "Thank you. I apologize for raising my voice." "No need to apologize. We all experience stressful mornings." It was precisely how Old Blue would have handled it, acknowledging the customer's sentiments while preserving dignity for everyone involved. During the midday lull, Diana convened a brief team meeting. Ashley, Miguel, Marcus, and 2 other staff members gathered around table 6. Customer satisfaction scores for this month, Diana announced, reading from her tablet. 96% positive. Revenue up 31% from last month. But more importantly, we've had 0 employee complaints and 3 applications from individuals who heard we're an excellent place to work. The team exchanged proud smiles. They had resurrected the restaurant's reputation through a simple commitment to treating everyone well. Ashley, Diana continued, you've demonstrated significant growth in customer relations. Miguel, your kitchen efficiency improvements have reduced wait times by 20%. Marcus, customers specifically commend your positive demeanor. Ashley tentatively raised her hand. Diana, I wanted to articulate something in front of everyone. She inhaled deeply. I was mistaken about many things. I believed success meant being superior to other people, when it truly signifies aiding everyone in succeeding collaboratively. The confession carried weight because it was earned through weeks of altered conduct, not hollow words. Miguel nodded approvingly. That's what Old Blue always imparted. We ascend together, or we disintegrate. After the meeting, Terrell approached Diana privately. How does it feel? Like returning home, she stated simply. Like everything Dad taught me about treating people correctly finally has a setting to thrive. She presented him with a framed photograph on her desk. Old Blue embracing baby Diana, both of them laughing. I discovered this amongst his possessions after he passed. I believe he'd be content seeing his granddaughter's daycare tuition being covered by the enterprise he helped establish. More than content, he'd be proud that his daughter is continuing everything he cherished. Diana picked up the schedule book, its blue cover now softened from frequent handling. Do you know what the most gratifying aspect is? This used to induce anxiety in me daily, wondering how unjustly I would be treated. Now it symbolizes opportunity, equitable schedules, equal prospects, respect for everyone. As closing time drew near, the team collaborated, cleaning and preparing for the next day. Ashley wiped tables without prompting. Marcus arranged supplies with meticulous precision. Miguel cleaned his kitchen with the pride of ownership, and Diana oversaw it all, wearing Old Blue's original apron, her father's heritage enduring through her leadership. The downtown blue-collar bites had evolved into what it was always intended to be, a locale where quality food was served with dignity, where employees were valued for their integrity, and where Old Blue's aspiration of treating everyone with reverence had found its perfect manifestation in his daughter's capable hands. 6 months after the pivotal confrontation, Terrell stood outside the downtown blue-collar bites, observing the dinner rush through windows that now revealed harmony instead of tension. Inside, Diana Williams had transformed the restaurant into precisely what her father had envisioned. The blue schedule book rested conspicuously on the counter, no longer concealed like a shameful secret, but prominently displayed as an emblem of fairness. Employee turnover had plummeted to 0. Customer satisfaction scores consistently exceeded 95%. Revenue had escalated by 47%, but the figures conveyed only a portion of the narrative. Ashley Taylor, once a recipient of discriminatory favoritism, had become Diana's most trusted assistant manager. She had realized that true leadership signified elevating others, not stepping on them. Her metamorphosis from an entitled employee to a dedicated team member demonstrated that individuals could change when afforded the opportunity. Miguel Rodriguez's kitchen operated with military precision and familial warmth. He had trained 4 new cooks utilizing Old Blue's methodologies, transmitting techniques and values that would outlive them all. The wall behind the register now showcased a gallery of employee accomplishments alongside Old Blue's original photograph. Diana's business degree, earned through evening classes while working full-time. Marcus's scholarship to culinary school. Ashley's customer service certification. Most significantly, the restaurant had become a beacon in the community. Other blue-collar bites locations dispatched managers to learn Diana's approaches. Corporate had implemented her fairness protocols company-wide. Local businesses sought her counsel on inclusive management practices. Diana's 3-year-old daughter often visited after daycare, sketching pictures at table 6 while her mother completed administrative tasks. Old Blue's granddaughter would grow up understanding that diligence, impartiality, and treating people with dignity were not merely ideals. They were pragmatic principles that fostered prosperous businesses and enhanced communities. The anonymous text sender who had initiated Terrell's investigation had revealed themselves. Mrs. Patterson, the elderly regular who could not tolerate witnessing Diana's mistreatment. Sometimes you must advocate for individuals who cannot advocate for themselves, she had informed Terrell. As Terrell drove home, he contemplated Old Blue's cherished adage, "Take care of your people and they'll take care of your business." Diana had proven that principle accurate every single day since assuming control. Your workplace experiences are important. Share your narrative of fairness, discrimination, or positive transformation in the comment section below. Your vocal input could serve as the crucial impetus for someone to articulate their thoughts, advocate for a cause, or take initiative for what's